Public speaking is not merely a skill. It is a transformative force that can redefine your identity, reshape your future, and reposition you in any industry or stage of life. And the moment you truly understand that, everything begins to shift. Most people think great speakers are born with some mysterious gift, but the truth is far more empowering. Great speakers are built through perspective, through intention, through courage, and through the willingness to show up with what they have, exactly where they are, without waiting for some perfect moment that never arrives. If there is one hook you should lock into your mind right now, it is this: do what you can, where you are, with what you have, and never underestimate the massive advantage that anticipation brings into your life, your business, and your leadership, because you never know what will unfold if you keep moving forward boldly. People often ask, how can I speak like you? How can I become confident on stage? How can I improve? And I always tell them the truth, a truth that took me years to fully grasp. Change your perspective. That is the ultimate shift. Most struggling speakers show up to take attention, take validation, take applause, take opportunities, take approval, but the best communicators in the world show up to give. They show up with value, with insight, with lived experience, with curiosity, and with generosity. They do not enter the stage thinking, what will I get? They enter asking, what can I give? That mindset alone separates amateurs from professionals, separates takers from leaders, separates forgettable presentations from unforgettable experiences. You can always tell who walked on stage with a giving heart. Look at the world's greatest presenters: Sir Ken Robinson, Brené Brown, Amy Cuddy, Dan Pink. None of them walk out hoping the audience will follow their Instagram. None of them rush to announce, buy my book. None of them list their credentials like a self-promoting resume introduction. They show up with humility, clarity, and authenticity. And that is why millions connect with them. They do not chase approval. They do not chase applause. They focus on delivering truth, and the applause becomes a byproduct. That is the first major hook. When you show up to give, you will never have to chase anything, because what you give will naturally return to you multiplied. But most people show up to take, and that is why they never rise. Every slide filled with social media handles, every answer ending with "buy my course," every introduction starting with "I have 6 PhDs, I advise CEOs," signals a taking mentality. It signals a speaker who stands on stage hoping to be admired instead of being helpful. And let me tell you something with absolute certainty. Audiences can smell taking energy instantly. They feel it, they pull back, they disconnect, they check out. That is why public speaking begins long before the first word leaves your mouth. It begins with the energy you carry, the intention you bring, and the reason you showed up at all. Now, let me give you the second major hook. Authenticity engages. If you do not know yourself, you cannot speak yourself. If you cannot speak yourself, you will never connect. Too many speakers try to imitate others. They rehearse someone else's style, copy someone else's pacing, adopt someone else's tone, but imitation kills connection. When you try to be someone else, you block everything powerful about yourself. I learned this lesson the hard way preparing for my first major talk. I practiced my message more than 100 times, rehearsing in the shower, in the car, in my room, trying to make every word perfect. And then I became stuck on the smallest decision: PowerPoint or no PowerPoint. I polled 12 people I trusted deeply. 6 said yes PowerPoint, 6 said no PowerPoint. I was frustrated. It felt like my biggest opportunity was being shaped by a coin toss. And then I realized something profound. I had not asked the one person who mattered the most, myself. I had allowed external voices to drown my inner voice. And in that moment, something clicked within me. Authenticity is not about perfection. It is about comfort, clarity, and confidence in who you are. When you're comfortable, the audience is comfortable. When you're grounded, the audience feels grounded. When you're real, the audience becomes open. That is why authenticity is magnetic. It engages instantly, it cuts through noise, it carries a frequency that no manufactured performance can rival. The next major hook, one you must engrave into your mind if you want to become extraordinary, is this: awareness connects. Being aware of your audience, your environment, your timing, your energy, the room's rhythm, the atmosphere can elevate your message from good to unforgettable. Let me tell you a story. I once traveled to Sioux Falls, South Dakota, prepared to deliver a sharp, strategic, motivational session. I expected a professional audience. But when I walked into the venue, it felt like I was stepping directly into a party. There was an open bar, people were laughing, talking loudly, enjoying drinks. It was the opposite of the atmosphere I had mentally prepared for. In that moment, fear could have frozen me. My plan could have collapsed. But awareness saved me. I adjusted. I shifted the tone. I opened with a funny travel story, and the room exploded with laughter. At that moment, I realized something profound. Preparation matters, but flexibility matters more. Situational awareness is the hidden superpower of great communicators. When things don't go as planned, and trust me, they will not, you must be fluid, not frozen, adaptable, not anxious, responsive, not rigid. Audiences reward speakers who can dance with the moment. They reward speakers who can pivot with confidence. They reward speakers who embrace the unpredictability of human energy. And that brings us to the third major hook: audacity informs and inspires. You cannot walk into a presentation half-hearted, half-prepared, half-confident, or half-present. You must enter boldly. Audacity is not arrogance. It is ownership. It is the ownership of your story, your message, your energy, and your presence. Fear is common, but courage is rare. Fear of judgment, fear of stumbling, fear of criticism, fear of forgetting lines. These fears are universal, but great speakers feel the same fears and move anyway. Their boldness doesn't come from the absence of fear, but from the decision to not let fear dictate the next step. Now, let me give you the most important hook of all. Stories create impact. Stories are the engine of memory, the language of the brain, the bridge between speaker and audience. The top TED Talks are not top because they have better slides. They're top because they have better stories. A story paints pictures, and pictures bypass logic and reach emotion. Emotion is what transforms listeners into believers. A story can soften resistance, open hearts, unlock attention, and build connection faster than any data point ever could. But remember the golden rule: never tell a story without making a point, and never make a point without telling a story. Your story is not filler. It is the fuel. When your story carries a message, your message becomes unforgettable. When your message is unforgettable, your impact becomes undeniable. Public speaking is not reserved for a chosen few. It is a craft accessible to anyone willing to practice authenticity, awareness, and audacity. It is a tool that can elevate your career, your influence, your relationships, and your purpose. Speak to give, speak to serve, speak to uplift, speak to transform, and the world will make space for your voice. Remember this and never forget it. The world does not need a perfect speaker. It needs a present one, an authentic one, a bold one, a giving one, a storyteller who carries truth in their voice and fire in their heart. If you show up with that energy, that intention, that generosity, your message will not simply be heard, it will be felt, remembered, and acted upon long after the words fade.